Hello BookTube. So today we're talking about my February TBR. Despite this being the shortest month in the year, I think this might be one of the longest TBRs page-wise I'm going to do this year. It's kind of scary. Let's get started. In a continuation of my Jane Austen read-along, I'll be reading the February book of the month, which is Northanger Abbey. I've read this book once before, about 10 years ago in high school. I won't lie, it's probably my second least favorite Jane Austen. I think I disliked Mansfield Park more than this one, but I was not a fan of this when I read it. I'm curious to see if this time around I'll like it more. I really don't know what to expect. And since it's been so long since I've read it, I'm a little hazy on the details of what it's about, but basically, from what I remember, it's about a young girl named Catherine Morland who has just been presented in society, and she's in Bath for the season to socialize, to meet people, to potentially meet a husband. Though since she's so young, I don't think that's her main goal. It's her debut season, essentially, in Bath. And Catherine Morland is one of Austen's more silly protagonists, I would say. She's obsessed with Gothic novels and ghost stories, if I remember correctly. And I think that at some point there is a ghost story potentially in this book, or that Catherine Morland thinks there is one, though I could just be completely making that up. We'll see if I like this better the second time around or not. My next two books are two things I've checked out from the library. The first of those, and probably the first thing I'm going to read this month, is The Book of Strange New Things by Michelle Faber. And I heard about this book on Jen Campbell's channel. She had an interview with Michelle Faber that I thought was really interesting. He's also well known for writing the historical novel, The Crimson Petal and the White, which, to be honest, that book does not interest me at all. It's huge historical, and that's not really my jam. But this is completely different. This is a social science fiction novel about a husband who is sent to another planet to preach the good word to the inhabitants, the alien inhabitants of that planet. And the bulk of the novel, I believe, is letters. I'm not sure if they're letters he and his wife are sending back and forth to one another, or if they're just letters he's sending. I think it's both ways. And it's about the breakdown of communication between a married couple because some really horrible things are happening back on Earth. I'm not usually a huge fan of super religious books, but I think the religion in here, it's not like I'm reading C.S. Lewis, which I'm not interested in doing. That's more of a backdrop on the story, and so I'm kind of curious about it. I'm curious to see how Michelle Faber uses this idea of evangelism in a science fiction setting. It sounds really good. Also, I just love the title, The Book of Strange New Things. It's just such a good title. My other book from the library that I'm reading is, and this should come as no surprise to anyone, Radiance by Catherine Valente. So over the last couple of months, I've basically been reading one Catherine Valente book a month. Well, for the last 2 months I've done that. I think I've decided that what I'm going to do is continue to read one of her books or her short story collections per month until I work through at least all of her adult novels. I'm not sure if I'm going to read her children fairyland novels. They sound good, but they're not necessarily my thing. I really like her adult magical realism, and I actually went into the library looking again for The Bread We Eat in Dreams, and they didn't have it again. And then I saw this, and I read the cover flap, and I was like, oh, that sounds so good. For example, Radiance is a deco-punk, pulp, science fiction, alt history, space opera mystery set in a Hollywood and solar system very different from our own. That mishmash of like fantasy and science fiction and alternative history, those just all sound amazing. The next thing on my TBR is the third book of The Mortal Instruments. I read the second book last month. This is the only other one I own. I bought the first 3 books last year after seeing the Mortal Instruments movie, and I really liked the movie. So I broke my embargo on Cassandra Clare, bought the books, and read the first one, and it was okay, but I didn't really care for it all that much. But I own the other 2, and so since I literally broke my book buying ban to buy these 3 books. So since I did that, since I own them, I'm going to read them. This is the last one that I'm going to buy and read. because I really cannot stand Cassandra Clare's writing. It's not the worst writing I've ever read, but it's really irritating to read. That being said, it's also like the longest one that of the 3 that I'm going to read. So I'll do it. I'm going to do it. That way I can declutter this, to be honest. And the last 3 things on my TBR are all kind of connected. They are what you could term classic noir mystery novels. Again, I bought them to read for a class that I took in college, and it's been a while since I read them. I just want to read them so that I can decide whether or not I want to keep them in my collection. So the first one, which I will definitely be keeping, but it's been so long since I read it, I just want to read it again, is The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. We read the entirety of this for the class, and I mean, this is like quintessential noir. I'm not going to unhaul it, but I love mystery novels, I love noir novels, and it's been a long time since I read it, so I'm going to reread it again. The next one is The Killer Inside Me by Jim Thomas. I don't remember this one at all. I don't remember how much of this I read for the class, and I honestly don't remember what it's about. I think it's about a serial killer. I think it's about a sheriff who's a murderer. I don't really see myself holding on to this, but I want to read it so that I know I can say for sure that I have read the entirety of it. And then the last one is Red Death by Walter Mosley. And again, I cannot remember what this one is about. I cannot remember how much of this one I read for the class. I'm going to read it so that I know very clearly in my head what it's about, and so I can make an informed decision about whether or not I want to keep it. That's my February TBR. It's a little intimidating. I think the hardest thing is going to be not checking out any more books from the library, because I am always tempted to do that, but I'm not. I'll be really excited once I finish reading The Mortal Instruments too. That'll be the second series I can mark off as read. I'm not going to read any of the other books in that series, and I'm not going to read her connected series, The Infernal Devices. So it'll be the second series I can just mark off, be done with, and then next month I can start The Golden Compass. I can start His Dark Materials, which is what I'm really excited for. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you're going to be reading in the month of February. Let me know if you've read any of these before. Especially if you've read Radiance by Catherine M. Valente. I'd love to hear your opinion of it in the comments down below. See you guys.